The honourable member for Kootenay, Columbia.
And I rise to speak on the fall economic statement for the constituents of Kootenay, Columbia, and Canadians. Madam Speaker, after 9 years, the Prime Minister has repeatedly demonstrated a concerning lack of regard for the best interests of Canadians. The pattern is unmistakable, underscored by persistent tendency towards overspending that has become all too familiar. Instead of prioritizing the needs and concerns of Canadian citizens, the Prime Minister has consistently favored overspending, disregarding a balanced budget essential for economic growth. The irresponsible approach not only undermines the trust and confidence of Canadians, but also jeopardizes the long-term economic stability and prosperity of our nation. It is our duty as representatives of the people to hold our leaders to account and demand accountability for their actions. We must ensure the government spending is aligned with priorities and the values of Canadians, promoting transparency, efficiency, effectiveness, and accountability at every turn. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister's track record of overspending serves as a stark reminder that he refuses to acknowledge the role in Canada's massive debt. Debt, Madam Speaker, that has grown to a staggering $1.2 trillion. Absolutely unfathomable amount. Alongside with that debt comes interest. The interest is $54 billion. To put this into perspective, $54 billion is more than what we spend on a Canada Health transfer to support provinces and territorial health care. It's deeply disturbing and downright offensive to Canadians that the NDP Liberal government treat our constituents' hard-earned money this way. The level of management is unacceptable and undermines the fundamental trust between constituents and elected officials. We owe it to our constituents, frankly, to do better. It's not just about fulfilling our duties as elected representatives, it's honoring the trust and confidence that our citizens have placed in us to steward our nation's resources wisely and responsibly. There's a profound exception for us to make decisions that will foster prosperity, progress for our country, to build Canada that Canadian citizens are proud to call home. Regrettably, Madam Speaker, what I'm hearing from my constituent paints a different picture. The country's debt has a ripple effect that touches every aspect of our society. One area where we see this impact is housing. The cost of housing has skyrocketed to the point where many young families in their 30s are realizing that their dream of owning a home may never become a reality. They are escorted. They are resorted to renting from homeowners who are also experiencing record-breaking interest rates on their mortgages, forcing higher and higher rent increases. At the same time, our population is growing rapidly, but we're not building enough homes to accommodate everyone. The imbalance between supply and demand is inflaming the housing crisis and making it more difficult for people to afford housing. And for those who try to help are denied. Stephen from Revelstoke reached out to me regarding his grant application, approximately $15 million over the course of a few years, to a housing accelerator fund that he and his organization have been denied. Realizing the lack of housing and affordability is the #1 issue in Revelstoke, the same as many other communities, especially those in the hospitality and tourism industry, Stephen was curious how the communities are keep up with demand. They are shovel ready, yet they were told they were too organized, so they wouldn't be getting the funding. Another area we see increases is taxes. Alan from Kimberley wrote me quoting the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance saying the budget is to help Canadians. But in his words, it will not help my granddaughters aged 3 and 14. They'll be the ones who pay for the federal debt when they start work. Brenda from Creston is frustrated and wrote saying, surely it's understood that the burdening that has already overly burdened the public yet with more taxes, while those in office take liberties to how they spend money is unfair. I'm asking my voice to people who have already asked steps to be taken to reduce spending that the Government of Canada identify with its citizens during these expensive times. In other words, accountable to the taxpayers. And Rick from Cranbrook says this, just wanted to drop a quick email to suggest my opposition to the budget. It does nothing, provided no benefit for Canadians other than the privilege of paying a rapidly increasing proportion of our taxes to servicing ballooning debt. Again, $53 billion. Mr. Speaker, my constituents are fed up with the financial stress, limited financial flexibility due to higher interest payments, lack of economic growth, and certain intergenerational burden this government has brought upon us. It's a question asked by many. How does such a resource-rich country in so much debt? Between the minerals, forestry, energy, we should be global leaders and well into the black. Mr. Speaker, the lengthy permitting process of new mines in Canada can take up to 25 years to get approval. This is a significant challenge for the mining industry and hinders timely development and export of critical minerals. To address these challenges, it's essential for the government to allocate the necessary resources to expedite environmental reviews and permitting processes. The government has to recognize the need to accelerate permitting processes and production of critical minerals, which are essential for a variety of industries, including technology, renewable energy, and defense. However, these permitting policies continue to undermine Canada's attractiveness to mining investments and others. We have Trail, which is critical minerals. We have the Elk Valley, which is steel, coal, critical mineral for steel. And yesterday we had KC Recyclers who came to Ottawa to talk about they recycle 95% of lead acid batteries, and yet we're still shipping batteries from Canada to third world countries instead of recycling here. The ongoing U.S.-Canada softwood dispute has placed Canada manufacturers in a prolonged period of uncertainty, with no negotiated settlement in sight. The extended period of instability has a significant impact on the forest industry, limiting its ability to generate revenue and to contribute to the economic growth of our country. Canadian lumber producers are burdened with punitive tariffs that impede their competitiveness and hinder their ability to thrive in the global market. The imposition of tariffs not only undermines the profitability of Canadian lumber exports, but exacerbates the existing challenges faced by manufacturers, including the rising production costs, supply chain interruptions, market unrest. Furthermore, the uncertainty surrounding softwood lumber stifles innovation within the industry, hindering long-term capability. Canada has abundance of natural gas, especially in British Columbia and Alberta. Exporting liquefied natural gas to the EU presents a fantastic opportunity to tap into a new market and potentially boost our economy. Selling LNG to the EU can play a critical role in diversifying Canada's energy exports. Right now, we rely on a U.S. market for energy exports, which leaves us vulnerable to shifts in their energy policies and market conditions. By expanding our reach to the EU, we can spread out our risk and ensure more stable income stream for our natural gas industry. Moreover, exporting LNG to the EU aligns with global efforts in transition to cleaner or more sustainable energy sources. Natural gas is a cleaner alternative to coal and oil, and supplying LNG to the EU can help them reduce their carbon emissions and meet their energy needs in a more environmentally friendly way. This can strengthen Canada's reputation as a responsible energy producer. Additionally, fostering strong economic ties with the EU through energy trade can enhance our diplomatic relations, cooperation with other countries. It's a win-win situation that benefits both Canada and the EU. Mr. Speaker, with the basic examples provided, it's absolutely a disservice to Canadians for the NDP Liberal government to not try harder to keep the debt down and balance the budget. Every family knows that if they spend more than they bring in, they go in debt. The main difference is they realize that they have to pay back their debt. And the Prime Minister tries to pay back his debt by increasing taxes on Canadians. Mr. Speaker, when will the Prime Minister own up to his financial failings and admit we need to do better and balance the budget?